enjoyed so much. Let's go over to Mr. Brian Kennedy. And Brian, actually, when I read his profile, he has survived 7 bank robberies in his banking career. He suffered mental exhaustion of working 84 hours a week. And then in 2010, he reevaluated his life and became a marathoner and an ultra marathoner. And in our pre-discussion, he's also sounding like he's going to be going through a new change. Welcome, Brian Kennedy. And where are you from today? And what has been your strategy for resiliency?
Thanks, Dave. I'm here from a kind of sunny Dublin, nearly 3:30 here in the afternoon. Um, oh, gosh, thanks for the introduction. Yes, I've been through a lot. Like Anton said in his talk, our early educators taught us shame as men. As men in a class, they taught us shame. They didn't realize it. When we got a question wrong, they beat us. And what we learned was, if you don't know the answer, that's not good. If you're a man, you have to be strong and you have to do certain things in life. Okay. And what that did for me was that gave me an unbalanced mindset as I was growing up. That was exasperated by the fact that I had an alcoholic father who used to kind of tell me I wasn't great and I wasn't going to be brilliant. But what that manifested itself in me was everything that I did, I had to be the best. There was no second chance. But as I got a job and as I worked through a number of industries, I was promoted everywhere that I worked. Did I realize that I was good at what I did? No, I didn't, because of the fact of the way my mentality was. I thought I had to have all the answers. I didn't ask for help. I was being successful, but I didn't realize it. I was earning a 6-figure salary in an industry that eventually, when I was working 84 hours a week, because I didn't, as a man, have the emotional intelligence to be able to say to somebody, I need some help here, I suffered mental exhaustion. And what I found was I sat in my house one Monday morning after I had been diagnosed with total mental exhaustion at the weekend, and I cried like a baby into my hands when my wife was gone to work and my kids were gone to school. Okay, I was not even speaking to people at home when I was working 84 hours a week. I was constantly thinking of the future, uh, believing that a man could not ask for help, could not be vulnerable, could not be emotional. And I was 50. And I realized that day something had to change. I realized that we as men, and any man that's on this call, I want to tell you, is that you have your own unique gifts which can get you through life if you slow down your life from 100 miles an hour and realize what you've got and realize what's important. I realized that I was blessed with a loving wife and 2 kids, which I wasn't speaking to, that my wife was carrying all the responsibility of home and had her own career. And suddenly I sat down at a table and I wrote down on a separate sheet of paper all the positive things in my life, and I wrote down negative things in my life on separate sheets of paper, and I stood back and I looked at all the positives and the negatives to see what I had to be grateful for. And I got rid of a lot of negativity out of my life, people who were draining my energy. I decided a number of things, which was, what I learned as a kid was, as a man, we say your title defined you in your job. You had to get a job. Suddenly I realized, you know what? My title means diddly squat. Okay. What people thought about me in work, I was no longer going to worry about. If I went back and they thought I was after having a nervous breakdown, so what? That wasn't my problem. That was their problem. I no longer judged people. I no longer get into the car and beep the horn and shout at people in traffic because I'm more calm. Okay. And I changed my life to live more in the present so that I can have the future that I always wanted to have. Okay. And that's my advice to people today. You cannot have the future you want if you're constantly living in the future. You will just be pining for a future that may never occur. So for me, I decided to give something back. And I decided at 50 to start running marathons. Okay, and that for me personally was mind, body, and soul changing and growing for me as a person, but also to be able to give back. And I ran my first ultramarathons when I was 55. Okay, but I will tell you that when I came over the finish line 5 years after I had ran my first marathon, when I finished my first ultramarathon, and this will tell you what we as men have to go through, to change our lives. It's not easy. 5 yards from the finish line, I could not tell you what my mindset was going to be like at the end of that ultramarathon. Yes, I was tired. Yes, I was kind of exhausted. Did I know what I was going to do? Not really. What did I do? I punched the air and I shouted, "There you go, Dad, I'm not useless." 5 years after I ran my first marathon, that was a cathartic, a closed book. I was able to close the chapter, believe that my father loved me, that I no longer was going to take any crap from people, that I understood who I was, I understood what my values were, I understood what I was going to do with my life going forward, and I have dedicated my life since 2010 to mentor men in particular to understand that they are good enough, that they can achieve what they want to achieve in life, but they have to slow down and they have to understand that that voice that they have in their head, that they allow themselves to say to themselves that they would never say to anybody else. My voice in my head is called Cedric, and I manage Cedric. Okay, and I talk to Cedric, and I know Cedric is there, and I tell Cedric he's an idiot if he tries to tell me that I can't do things. Okay, and that is what I want people to do when they go away from this call. Your job does not define you, your title does not define you, your boss does not define you. Okay, you are your own person, you are in control of your own life, you can do what you want to do. There are people like us here talking today that are here to help you, but believe and you can achieve.
Thank you, Brian. Now, listen, guys and gals who might be watching this. If you want to stop this recording and reverse and listen to what Brian said over the last 4 minutes, he gave you an example of what a motivational speaker does. He shared winning strategies of a coach and mentor. And that's what Brian has found out, that his journey has been giving him the opportunity to speak from experience, yet also share with compassion. Men helping men through love, patience, and kindness. That's Mr. Brian Kennedy. Thank you, Brian, for joining us today. That was amazing. And seriously, folks, what's beautiful about technology, you could go back and listen to what was Brian's strategy. You can write it down and start applying it for you, because he gave you a great example like Anton did. Anton's using art expression. What Brian's using is physical exertion. Many men right now are ill or diseased because they're not actively getting exhausted physically like our farmer friends and relatives and ancestors did. We need more physical exertion, guys and gals. Thank you, Brian. That is amazing input for this day of resiliency, International Men's Day. Thank you.